Chapter 113, Volunteer Work. Despite his ability to watch most of his friends at once, and despite knowing almost exactly what was happening, Jake had been separated from the rest of the group and put through a series of tests that felt deeply experimental. He completed every one of them with barely any effort, which only seemed to confuse the Shaper's agents administering them. So they dragged the process out for hours. Jake drifted between full awareness of his own room and the situation, and Cup, who was sitting comfortably at the front gates of the camp, helping the recruiters usher people inside more quickly. He watched the gifted of Earth and saw the faint auras Cup caused to show in them. He followed them through intake and testing, watching as the staff either revealed their powers or helped them explore what they already knew. Then they were released, given time and dates to return for further training and testing. Jake watched them leave, excited about their potential and what magical might mean for all of them. He watched the Shapers too, very closely. He saw every interaction between the camp officials and Mora through a screen or hologram. Their conversations were tense affairs, sharpened by unmasked hostility and anger that kept rising in both of the voices of the commanders. They never quite became shouting matches, but their words often came in short, tight bursts, occasionally raised with frustration. Each time Mora demanded the camp leader, Javera, release the altered humans of Earth. She offered nothing in return. Javera always demanded to speak with the Council or Sanctuary Command, or to review mission updates issued through proper authority. Mora refused outright. She repeatedly tried to divert attention away from any superior leadership and demanded the small team comply with her terms over and over again. They had spoken a half-dozen times in the last day, and neither woman had made any progress. Gervais, in response, had instructed everyone in the camp to ignore Shaper's Earth Command authority and submit all outside requests through the mission AI for review and approval. She led by example, and she demonstrated expertly that bureaucracy could be used against itself with remarkable efficiency. She had also sent notices to other camp commanders and leadership around the world, informing them of the situation. None of that made Jake feel the least bit better. He felt more like a hostage than ever before. Without his ability to see and hear into spaces that should have been impossible to penetrate, he would have been completely unaware of everything happening behind the scenes. He wanted to talk to Cup or Aaron or anyone and tell them what was going on, but the camp had separated each of them. Not obviously, just through a series of requests that all seemed perfectly normal on their own. When can I see my friends? Jake asked as the trainer continued giving him one test after another. The man smiled. Soon. Then he clicked a button that flipped over a card in the room behind them. Before he could ask, Jake sighed. It's 8 dots and a line between each set of 4. The trainer looked down at the screen in his hand and raised an eyebrow. You know this is stupid, right? Jake grumbled. We've been at this for hours. Yes, the trainer said evenly. This is a test meant to determine your limits. How long can you view another room, the items within it, and what exactly you can make out while doing so. Eventually, you'll have too little essence to continue. We simply want to determine what sort of potential you have. Well, you're not going to find it like this, Jake shouted, rising and pacing the room. I'm watching 7 other places at once, and the only real problem with listening to all of them is that the sounds overlap in my head, and it's like standing in a crowded room where every voice turns into an echo or mumble. I can't quite separate. I've been doing this all day, every day, for months. Every time I find a new use for my power, I adapt it and keep going exactly like before. If I had a limit, I would tell you. I do not have any limits. He was unwilling to attack the Shaper, but no longer willing to sit through any more of these tests. Though one of his distant viewpoints, he observed Aaron going through something similar, powering a device on a table. He had been doing it for hours as well, without looking even slightly drained, while the trainer with him kept asking questions. What did it feel like? What exactly was he doing? Did it feel difficult at all? Jake's trainer sighed. They had discussed this at length already, but Jake's claims were beyond unbelievable. A depth of essence that extreme was so far outside of possibilities that it might as well not exist. Okay, the trainer said after a moment. Please wait here. Then he stood, gathered his data pad, and left the room, making his way through the small building to another meeting room. Jake watched him go. He followed him with his vision. The room the trainer entered was harder to look into, but nothing like Ghent had been, or was now. Jake wasn't certain anymore. Either way, he could watch the small group gathered there, and he did. There were 5 of them. They looked so similar they might have been brothers. The boy, too? One of them asked, as Jake's trainer entered. Jake's trainer took a steady breath. The boy, too, maybe more so than anyone. All of them possess a depth of skill we've never seen in any incursion world. Something is different, another man said, visibly distressed. Something is wrong with them, you mean? Another asked, astonished. They are all prodigies on any world we've seen. There is nothing wrong with them. Jake's trainer waved the objection away. The boy is a seer. He views several people at once. Not just people, but their actual environments and surroundings, and in full detail. Someone started to interrupt, but he kept talking. No, I think we're beginning to understand why High Command wants to meet them, or experiment on them, or I don't know. You think Shaper High Command cares about these novices? Another man asked. Jake's trainer shrugged helplessly. I don't know, but he trailed off, unwilling to say more. The rumors? Another man offered quietly, staring down at the table. Jake's trainer looked around at everyone. Have any of you had any communication with anyone outside of this incursion world? The room fell silent. After several long seconds, one of the men sighed. You know that we haven't. Jake stopped caring about the tests entirely. This was beginning to feel less like salvation and more like another prison. They had gone from one prison to another and spent what felt like weeks doing it. He stood and began to pace again. He would have tried the door, but he already knew it was locked. He had a decent idea of what the small pad beside it required to open, but he also knew that getting out would only put him in the hands of more shapers who already knew he wasn't supposed to be wandering around. He was fairly sure that trying to leave would cost them whatever luxuries this very comfortable prison currently provided. So he settled for pacing and watching, this time turning to Aaron again. Aaron's trainer was leaving too, headed off to join the others and discuss matters that felt wildly beyond any of their control. Then Aaron looked directly into Jake's invisible eye, hanging near the door of the room. Jake? He asked. Yeah, Jake said out loud, even though he knew it was pointless. There is no way Aaron could hear him. He'd never figured out how to use that power. Aaron answered immediately. I think we might need to escape, Aaron said.